Welcome to this Windows and Computer channel, and we will talk today a little bit about the history of Intel. Why? Because Intel's at 50 years old. It was actually created on, the official date is apparently July 18th, 1968, by three guys. And, we gotta look at Intel because it is one of the major tech companies and chip makers that really, changed how technology and what technology is all about, and has been with us for such a long time. And even today, Intel is still a big player. So, 50 years of Intel. It's incredible when you think about it. 1968. I wasn't even born. I was born in 1969. So, these three guys, Andy Grove, Robert Noyce, and Gordon Moore, are basically the guys that have created Intel. Gordon Moore, by the way, is the guy, and he's the guy I believe here in the left side. Um, he's the guy that's credited to the famous Moore's Law, which says that actually, the original Moore's Law, and this is interesting because when you do research, you find that there are little things that were a little different from what we know today. So, Moore's Law, the first iteration of Moore's Law, says that every year, the amount of transistors on a processor will double. And that law was changed to every 2 years, and it's pretty much been holding on for the past. That law was kind of created somewhere in the 80s. So for the past 30 years plus, that law has pretty much kept going on, and it was referred to as Moore's Law, and it pretty much worked. But we're arriving at a point today where that law is not going to continue because of the fact that the physics behind the really small, we're creating CPUs now that have transistors that are pretty much close to the atomic level in size. And when you're there, it means you're now playing with physics, and there's a limit where you can't go further, at least for now. So these three guys created Intel, and basically, Gordon E. Moore is a chemist. Robert Noyce is a physicist, and he's co-inventor of the integrated circuit. And basically, they have gone with Andy Grove. So the first CPU that was consumer, or most like commercial availability, is the Intel 4004. It's the first of its kind, and it was popular amongst many devices that needed to have some computing. But what really changed at Intel, the 8088, that transformed our PC industry. That's transformed everything. Because of this chip, the 8088, that's the reason why our PCs with Windows, even as of today, 2018, are how they are. It's the original x86. In reality, the first one was an 8086. That's why we call it the x86, by the way, because the first was 8086, but then was modified to 8088, and it transformed PC. It made the IBM PC Junior and the IBM PC. That then after that became with clones and all of that. But that's where it all starts. That's still the reason behind why our PCs act in a certain way and operate in a certain way. And it's interesting to see that. And of course, there's over the years been multiple new Intel chips, more and more powerful. But Intel over the years sometimes lost its way, and one of the interesting ways that it actually gained it back is by having competition. In the 90s, there was Cyrix, which was a Taiwanese chip maker that would, kind of copy pretty much the Intel architecture. Chips weren't very good, but it created competition with lower price. But the biggest game changer was AMD when AMD started making these really good processors in the early 2000s. It kind of made Intel reinvent itself and kind of do better at what it was already doing, and that's a good thing. And it's kind of happening a little bit today also with our Ryzen CPUs from AMD. But it's kind of cool, and it's fun to see how all of this changed over time. And what's the future? Well, the future is, of course, competition with other types of CPUs. Intel always pretty much competed with its own types of CPUs, meaning that AMD was also on the x86 architecture in its own way. But now the future looks more like it's going to compete with other types of CPUs. For example, ARM architecture, which is different, isn't compatible, but they're working hard to try to, have all of this, as we're going into a future that will be much more mobile, much less PC oriented, and Intel, I think, for the next 50 years needs to really hold on and reinvent itself once again if they want to continue and still be there in 50 years from now. So that was a quick look at Intel. It's not very exhaustive, but it's kind of the reason why you're watching this for a lot of us, and where we are now. If you enjoy our videos, please subscribe, give us thumbs up. Thank you for watching.